A very good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on Uctv. My name is Nora Osenda and this is the weekend edition. We just concluded the Uganda Matters celebration, the 3rd of June. And with the celebration, it comes really with a lot of excitement, jubilation, with Lugazi actually taking on the animation of this very act. Now, that was just last week on Tuesday. This very celebration was very special to us as Uctv in a special way because we had a priest, a reporter wearing different caps, but at the same time as a pilgrim at Namgongo. And so who else other than Father Aloysius Opio from Tororo Archdiocese to give us a glimpse and the details of his experience wearing all these caps. We want to listen to him. He's going to tell us, as he was a pilgrim. He's actually a priest and a journalist. A very interesting take there. You're so welcome, Father Aloysius.
Thank you, Nora, and the pleasure is all mine to be here.
It is so good to have you.
Thank you.
And we are blessed really to have you as Uctv. We have a priest who is also a journalist, who was also part of the pilgrimage to Namgongo.
Yes.
So tell me, we just want to know, actually just say hello to the audience out there and just say greetings to them.
Good evening, dear viewers, and good evening to all those watching us. And I think it's good to be here. Thank you so much for always being loyal to Uganda Catholic Television. And thank you, Nora, for inviting me for this special interview.
It is a pleasure. But you know this is home, right?
Yes, sure.
So, the 3rd June celebration had you in there having multiple hats and multiple experiences. We just want to get a glimpse of what exactly that entails. First of all, just tell us, how was your experience like on this Matters Day, generally?
Whereas it's not my first time to make a pilgrimage to the Uganda Matters shrine in Namgongo. I think this is my 5th time. But like it is the same old place, but I think every single year or every single time that I make a pilgrimage, and I would imagine this cuts across to all the other pilgrims, it comes with a different feeling, with a different experience. And just like in your introduction you said, I think now that this is a 2nd consecutive year that I am both there as a pilgrim but also as a journalist working and reporting for the Uganda Catholic Television. And for me, it gives me an opportunity not only to have my personal experience of the pilgrimage and of witnessing or of giving a deep devotion to the faith of the Martyrs, but also it gives me an opportunity to listen or to journey with the other pilgrims, because I interact with them a lot, and then sometimes I share with them their pains and also their joys. And so this particular one, I can say for me was more of a joy-giving experience, that it's not just my personal experience, but also getting to listen to the experience of the others. I think that is how I would describe it.
Very nice. That's a very good description, actually. When you are doing your journalist work as a journalist, do you take off the hat of a priest? How do you manage to do this without necessarily having to feel like it's confusing?
I think it may be more confusing to the people outside who see me, and I can give you a particular example with this very pilgrimage that 2 media houses sought to talk to me, and for them they were very surprised that, well, you're a priest, but then now and again we see you here in the same space with us, telling stories and why, you know, the first was UBC and then NTV. Yes. Now, I think once a priest always a priest,
Yes.
as the saying goes. And so you cannot say that now I am going to do this, putting off the priestly face. You still remain. But also what is very important is the fact that communication is one of the key aspects that the church uses for its evangelization and social communication for that particular matter. And that is why the church has a full dicastery or a full commission for communication, for social communication. And because you've got to communicate both in words and action, and if you are preaching the good news, then the communication must come. And for me, it comes as a blessing that the people outside there, maybe those who are not able to attend the Uganda Matters celebration and want to watch it on TV, will find the confidence of listening to a priest explaining to them what is taking place. I think it feels different for them, and it gives some bit of confidence that yes, the priest who is charged with the responsibility of spreading the faith is actually the one telling us about these matters who stood for the faith.
Exactly,
yes.
Exactly. And that comes also with a lot of faith in what you tell the audience, because the audience attached this office, or the priestly office, with what exactly you're saying. And there is so much confidence and trust in what you're saying, which makes it even more wonderful in a sense.
Yes, yes. And like I was saying, when you go to, for instance, the hospital, and then you have that assurance that there is Dr. So-and-so going to handle me, the feeling is a little bit different from when you are not sure. And then here that, for instance, a priest is charged with the responsibility of taking care of souls, and here he comes up, yes, and he's holding the microphone, and he is explaining to you what transpired in regard to your faith. It may have happened in 1886, 1887, so many years when he wasn't there, but this is what this guy went to be trained to do. And so I think the people outside have a different feeling, and they're like, yes, we are sure what we are getting on those sets, or on our television set, is actually what we must be getting.
Right. Yeah. Right at the scene at the Uganda Matters shrine in Namugongo, there are several media houses covering different stories and different perspectives, really. In the eyes of a priest on such a spiritual event, what are some of the stories that you felt stood out for you at that point, in that moment, you being there in that place?
For me, as someone coming from a media house, but also wearing the face, or having the other part of me being a priest, one thing that is striking every now and again that I stand there is when I look at the thousands and thousands of people who are there, and also getting to interact with them and getting to know that some of them have not just flown to there, have not just driven to there, but they have walked miles and miles. I can give an example. Like this time we had foot pilgrims from Mombasa. That is about 1,100 miles to Kampala, from Mombasa to Kampala.
Foot.
Yes, on foot.
Wow.
And then while you're telling this story, that hey, these people walked on foot 1,100 miles, I think it also speaks to you.
Right.
And maybe as you tell this story, this is standing out for someone who is outside there, and they're saying, well, people can make such sacrifices, and it's very, very inspiring, both for me who is there, and then for the people outside there. But also, as you asked about the media personalities, many of them trying to pick a story here and there, I can tell you it is in the local language, you can say it is all katogo. I mean, everybody is struggling. Where someone has put his tripod stand for the camera, yes. He does not want anybody to shake. And yet another person is also trying. That means that they value what is taking place there. And they don't want to miss a single dot or iota of what is taking place there, you know. And for me, as a Catholic, as a priest, I'm like, yes, we have something here. We have something great here. And if only each one of us can look at like the struggles going on around there, and then we get to embrace the faith that we have, and we say, look what the faith of these matters is making us go through, just to come up with news, to come up with a broadcast of what is happening. I think it's beautiful.
Super nice. When you were reporting at the scene, yes. The Uganda Matters, Namugongo, yes. On the 3rd of June, yes. You were very elaborate, eloquent, and very deep in your report, given the background of Lugazi Diocese, the animating diocese, and all this and all that. Do you feel that your priestly office helps you with this a lot? Because it was a very wonderful report. I wonder if the office of the priest complements the journalist in you.
Especially when it comes to reporting about religious things. Because one, as a priest, you've gone into training, let's say I spent about 14, 16 years in the seminary, and this makes you a little more conversant with the things about religion. And for instance, when we are going to talk about a diocese, then I know what people want to know about this particular diocese, you know. And so, yes, the priestly office, or the priestly knowledge, or the knowledge gained from the priestly training, helps me particularly to know that at this point, this is what my audience want to know. And so it will help me. If I don't know it by heart, at least I will go and make a research and say, well, as a religious reporter, I ought not to make any mistakes or any gaps, and call everybody who they are, and also call everything what it is. Yeah.
No any gaps. I think that is like so much expectations that we as the audience who sit behind the scene, as you are reporting, have on you as a priest, as a journalist. I also just want to know, have you come across people, the public, the audiences, how do they react to you with a caller behind the camera, with a microphone? I can just imagine some of the experiences you've had as you're doing your journalist work.
Yes, if it is in, for instance, a religious gathering, like the one of Namugongo, let's say you're approaching someone for an interview, they will be more confident standing to be interviewed by a priest, because they feel they're secure. They feel whatever piece of information they're going to give you is going to be used in the right way. And I think for me that is more or less a plus.
But we can't say no to a priest too.
Yes, because if a priest comes to you and requests, excuse me, can I have an interview? And you know you are in a territory that I will say governed by him.
Yes.
Or, yes, and so you feel at home. You feel, this is the host. Yes. You know, and so you are very confident and you feel very secure. But if it is a function, for instance, away from the religious lenses, let us say it is a political function and what, especially the Christians who know you will feel our priest shouldn't do that.
Oh.
Yeah, like there are times when I just started working, I used to stand behind the camera myself, and at the end of the function, like some of them will come and say, "Hey, Father, you're tired." Or sometimes you see some of them running to pick an umbrella to come and like hold for you. They're like, "Oh, Father, can't stand under because the people understand and attach a lot of reverence to the priesthood, and of course rightly so, yes. And for them, they feel, well, our priest should be here at the altar celebrating Mass and not there. So that is also the challenge, that there are those who take it very positively, and then there are those who are like, no, it can't be him. We can have another person holding that camera. But like I said, when it comes, for instance, to reporting a religious function, I think they are more confident with you, a priest, being there, because they will not doubt they will not question a single thing that you're going to say, because they know you are the custodian of the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It is very interesting because different experiences and different situations actually dictate the way audiences or people really react to what you do.
Yes.
I just want to go a little bit back to the point that you made about pilgrimages and being in the middle, having these very many hats over a priest, you're pilgrim, and you are a reporter at the same time.
Yeah.
And I just want to know, are there instances that you have stopped being one and you concentrate on one, or it is all intertwined in there? Especially, let me not limit it to now the celebrations, but to basically when you're out, for example, in the field. Let's talk about a social story. Are there days when you felt like this calls me to be more of a priest than a reporter, or this is just now me doing the reporting work?
In all, either being a priest or being a journalist, there is what we call ethics, the ethical bit of it. And if you are going to be a journalist, you are going to be ethical in your work, and whereas as a priest, you're also going to be very ethical. And you'll realize that, for instance, being a priest makes you to wear the face of Christ before the people.
Right.
And so even when you are reporting, even when you are in the field as a journalist, you always ought to know, and you always ought to remain the face of Christ. Because like I said, by virtue of ordination, it gives sort of an indelible mark, like you're a priest forever, in the line of Melchizedek, you know. And so you remain in word and in deed. And actually, being the priest helps you even to so much follow the ethics of journalism, because let's say anything went amiss, it would be more troublesome that you are even a priest.
Oh, yes.
And you are the one doing it the other wrong way. So I think at all times, the priesthood in me or in one, I would imagine there are many other priests outside there, it may not be in Uganda, who are doing the same thing, maybe doing work for EWTN or Vatican TV and Vatican News. Yes, so the priesthood in you remains, and it kind of helps you to up your game, I would say, to up your game, because there will be no excuse. You know, the people outside there look at the priests with a different lens.
Right.
And like I already said, rightly so, because you are another Christ. You are acting in the person of Christ. And so they will look at you with that lens, whether journalist or what, they look at you with that lens.
Exactly.
And so it helps you to up your game and say, hey, this is it. I can't afford to meander.
You're actually held at a very, very high standard, really. I believe that the work you do in the different spheres that you do, the different hats that you actually hold, you inspire so many really out there, not just into priesthood, but also into the journalistic world, and also into the different spiritual examples of roles that you're actually putting out there. And but I believe that being said, there are very many challenges that you encounter as not not necessarily just on the 3rd June. You could also tell us some of the challenges you encountered as you are doing these different things in your different capacities. Just kind of go through with us outside the celebration of the 3rd June and on your day-to-day roles. I mean, you're out there in the field.
Yeah. One of the challenges, I'll first get back to the pilgrimage bit of it. Even on the 2nd of June, while I was on my line of duty as a reporter, moving left and right, and then Christians who know me, they were already on a line for confession. And then I am walking with my microphone going to interview somebody.
Yes.
Yes. And they're like, "Hey, Father." So I turn and go move to them to greet them. And they're like, "Now, Father, we do not understand the language of the other priest who is administering the sacrament of confession." These people come from Tororo, and I think they speak only the Padola.
Yes.
So I had to first sit aside and listen to their confessions. You get me?
Yes.
Now, meanwhile, here my producer is waiting for me to do something, you know. So
Yes.
it's a challenge. That I mean, the people have seen you and they're like, "Hey, you are a priest."
Yes.
Yeah, and we want confession.
We need this office operational right
we
now.
we need the priestly office operational now. You know. And another example, one time I was I had finished mass in the parish in Tororo where I work in, morning mass, and then the Archbishop had a pastoral visit to another parish, and as usual I was running to go with him for the pastoral visit to go and cover the confirmation ceremony that he was going to preside over. Yes. And now from mass I am running straight to the car to go and pick the machines, and then a little boy comes to me and says, "Father, we want confessions." And now I look at the boy and I'm like, "Hey, can't we do it tomorrow? I'm already late." And the boy tells me, "But Father, we were told that we must confess at least once a week, and today it's 1 week since we last." Shut the car door and went straight to the confessional and listened to their confession. You know, so how to juggle the two sometimes becomes a challenge. But of course, I do it like with a lot of love, and I mean, from childhood, I've liked to be understood. I've liked to communicate. You know, that I want people to get clear what I feel and what I want to say. And now that this gives me an opportunity not only to communicate at the ambo or at the altar, that I can also through social communication communicate to the world. You know, nowadays there's so many things happening, and many people are more comfortable, for instance, with their phones or in their sitting rooms with their televisions, and they want to everything to find them from there.
Exactly.
And yes, if they can't come to church and the church can go to them through their television, I think I am very, very okay with that. So that is one of the challenges. Also, another challenge that I would say comes in this, I partly mentioned it, is that, for instance, in our social setting, some Christians are not used to seeing a priest like holding a camera. During Mass, you're supposed to be either the main celebrant or co-celebrating there. What are you doing here? And then there is no time to explain to all of them that, well, this is also a ministry that I'm doing. That the same way you who is here wants to pray, there are those who are not here physically, but they also want to pray. And so we have to take to them also. So others may not understand you so well, and then others, you know, may say, yeah, that's okay. And then thirdly, when you are, for instance, a media personality, many people attach it to high pay and you work for a television, you must be a rich man. Yes, and so like the demands, rightly so, I mean, people are going through a lot. Now when they come to you and say, excuse me, Father, I'm going through this and this, could you give me like 10,000? And then you say you don't have 10,000. Like, Father, who works in the TV?
I see you on TV.
Yeah, Father, who works in the television? I mean, how can he fail to have this? You know? Yes. So all those come, but like I said before, it is all joy.
It is.
Yeah. I think it's important for us to embrace the number of gifts that we have, and if we can use them for the good of the church and for the good of evangelization, there is no crime. There
are surely no crime in that. It is very interesting how your challenges are very unique in a way. I can imagine those are not my challenges. There could be some, but there's some that I can't relate to. You've talked about the challenges. There's no doubt that when you're doing your work, both as a priest, as a journalist, and all these hats that you wear, there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of these. You're passionate. You blossom when you're doing this. What is? Just give me, what are some of the most moving things that drives you actually? What is your greatest fulfillment when you do this?
First of all, as a priest, obedience. Obedience to my superiors.
Right.
And before I was appointed, for instance, to help in the Uganda Catholic Television, I was working in a parish somewhere deep in Palsa there. And I never ever thought like I was going to switch, not switching roles as such, but I mean now I do a number of things. Yes,
adding
I'm a
roles.
priest, but yes, adding roles. Yes, but when the bishop calls and says, Father, we are having this dream and we want this, and we believe for now you can be of help to us. Hey, even when you were enjoying the other one so much, you have to find ways of starting to enjoy this one also. Yes, and so for me, the first thing is, what am I as a priest? What am I supposed to do? And so that bit of obedience, that well, this is what the superior has asked me to do, to add maybe a thing or two on the many other works that are being done in the church. And so just knowing that, well, I have been asked to add a brick in the building of the kingdom of God, that should give a lot of passion.
Right.
But also, like as a priest, knowing that the responsibility of being a priest is not given to everybody, and it's a choice that the Lord himself makes. So knowing that, well, unworthy as I may be, I mean, we come from very different backgrounds. If I told you my own story, you wouldn't believe, and even myself, I wouldn't believe that I would be a priest. But knowing that it is me from that deep village, with all my shortcomings, it's me the Lord has called. It gives me the impetus to say, well, I must serve him with all my heart, because it doesn't give this to everybody. It's a special privilege. It's a special grace given to me, and so I must give my all to him. And I think that is what drives my passion, especially as a priest. And then, like you said, okay, maybe as a journalist, I think I'm doing what I love to do. Yes, even before I became a priest, even before the appointment, I was already known, or it was already known to me that working in communication is something worth trying. I remember in 2016, I was a seminarian in first year in Kinyamasika, and Kinyamasika Seminary was preparing to celebrate the Silver Jubilee. And so the organizing committee, together with some seminarians, decided to make, I will call it a pseudo television. Eventually we operated online. And then they looked around and they came to me and said, hey, we want you to be the face of this television. We want you to be the reporter. We want you to be the anchor. Well, I had never gone to any journalism school, but I'm like, that's all you, just talking. You guys, just talking, it's okay. You know? And so I started like that. And then slowly I found myself saying, but I'm not going only to end at talking. Can I learn some bit of camera work? Then I learned that. Can I learn some bit of editing? Can I learn some bit of script writing? You know? Right. Yes. Now, knowing that there was already that fire, which was eventually lit in 2016, that fire needs to keep going. Right. And so it like gives me all the energy to say, well, we need to push this to another level.
That is really inspiring. I want to go back a little bit to you as a pilgrim.
Yes.
In the light of doing your work, really, it was the Uganda, or it has been the Uganda Matters celebration.
Yes.
Just tell us a little bit about what the Uganda Matters personally mean to you as a priest and as a communicator of faith, really.
The courage of these Uganda Matters, by the way, most of them were not in their old age. They were basically young people, and some few middle age, and then some really young, like Kizito at the age of 14. But the courage that they had to know that this is what the Lord has called us, this is the path the Lord has called us to take, the path of Christianity. And then they have the courage to tell, for instance, the Kavaka, that, well, we are not going back on what we have learned. For me, that inspires every Christian. And maybe if we look at it from this lens, that all those who died as the martyrs that we celebrate now every 3rd June at Namugongo, they had very strong attachment to their culture. A number of them were working actually in the palace. A number of them were soldiers in the palace. Now this means they had grown almost all their life practicing this culture. And then the missionaries, the Catholic missionaries, came here in 1879, and then these martyrs, their killing started in 1985. So you would imagine 6 years down the road, these people had understood the faith, and that fire of love for God was already in them burning. And so for me, as a priest, or as a Christian, let me just say, as a Christian and as a pilgrim who is coming to listen to their story, I am inspired by that. And I'm saying, well, you do not have to be a Christian for 50 years to understand what the faith says. You do not have to be a priest for 10 years, for 20 years to understand what priesthood means. Because these, after 6 years, they have understood that once you have put your hands on the plow, or the ox plow of faith, there is no looking back. It says a lot.
It does.
Yeah. And so their courage, I think, should inspire each Christian. And by the way, when I look at people walking hundreds of miles on their pilgrimage, and others, of course, even using vehicles or planes, for me, that is also a sacrifice. My only challenge is when we allow that sacrifice to end by mere just coming. that I know I am going to come to Namugongo every year, but as soon as I go back, it is the same old me, the same old story. I think us interacting with the faith of the Martyrs should help transform our lives spiritually, but not only spiritually, it should also be socially.
Right.
You know, that I mean, these are able to first of all fight for their freedom of worship. How many of us are able to fight for the many social injustices that are there in our communities? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it should be a transformative journey, that as we come and as we are going back, we should ensure that at least one thing in our life dies, especially the negative ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Very profound there. The fact that you talked about the number of years that the Uganda Matters had actually spent in Christianity was just so profound. Never thought about it in that perspective of it was just a short time, but they had committed and they had understood what they stood for. You know, very profound there. I just want to know, as a reporter, as a journalist, what more can media houses, especially religious media houses, let's say Christian religious houses, leave out continue with the legacy of the Uganda Matters in this day and era, really, to the audiences there? What more can we do, you think?
To continue telling the story of faith. Whereas they told the story of faith with their lives, okay? And maybe they didn't want to impress anybody, they didn't want anybody to hear, but they told the story of faith with their blood. We now have tools to keep telling this story. Now, the challenge that the Christian media houses have today is trying to prove something to the world. That is the problem that we have. And I know you should be knowing that a number of times we have also been caught in the trap of fake news, with the urge of being the first to break the news, or yes, this is happening. But as media houses, we must do it with a lot of integrity. The Martyrs whom we celebrate here in Uganda were also pushed because of the values and the integrity that they had learned about the Christian faith. You know, one of the reasons as to why they said no to the king or to the Kabaka was the vice of homosexuality. And so they stand for their integrity. As media houses, can we stand for our integrity today and say we are meant to tell stories, whether of faith or social stories or transformative stories, but can we do it with integrity? We can do that.
We can.
And if we are going to do that, this is going to spread wide. And everybody is now going to look at you as a reference and refer to the media houses, the Christian media houses or the Catholic media houses are doing it this way. And then you will see the people. Truth attracts. Yes. Truth attracts. Yeah. So I think we can emulate them in that way.
We surely can. We surely, really, really can. Standing for what is good, standing for the truth, even as we are doing our professional work.
Yes.
Is very, very important there. I like that you put that out there. Father Aloysius,
Yes.
you are youthful. You are a youth and you've interacted with so many youths in regards out of the celebration of the Uganda Matters and within the scope of the celebration. What is your perspective of the youth's perception of the Uganda Matters and the celebration in this day and age?
It is a two-way traffic, I can say, that there are those who still find themselves deeply rooted to the faith, especially being inspired by the story of the Uganda Matters, whereas there are those also who find it old-fashioned even to practice religion. And I think somehow the situation, the social and economic situation in our country drives some of them maybe astray. Now you talk to a number of young people, and for them chasing the bag, that's their language, chasing the bag is the deal. And anything else that is not bringing money can wait, you know. But also there are those who these situations have pushed extreme, and you know, in Uganda today we've got cases of people who preach prosperity gospel. And who are the people they are taking? The young people. Because they are those also, because they are pushed to, pushed with, by that desire to grow economically. They think when you go and only pray, miracles are going to happen and things come in your life. And so there are people who have taken advantage of them, because like Uganda is a very young population, with the youth being the majority, over 70%. Yes, and so they are all struggling to make ends meet. And so even from the religious bit of it, there are those who have taken advantage of them. But there are also those who have known that you can make a sacrifice, and every sacrifice counts. And like I said, the story of the Uganda Matters does not only inspire us spiritually, but it brings a lot of transformation in our lives. That there are those who are also going to say, I am going to stand to the values that I have learned from the church. I know so many young people, and I know so many young people who are willing to make a sacrifice here and there. Even we talked of the sacrifice of walking. I know an 11-year-old boy from Tororo who trekked.
Wow.
This is 230 kilometers to come and witness to the faith of the Uganda Matters. Now, such a young lad, if you tell him now, the same way you've sacrificed to come here is the same way to sacrifice with everything else, including your education. Yes, then he's going to take it, that yeah, it is possible. It is possible to move a single step ahead today, tomorrow, and the next day. Yes, but not all is lost, even for the young people. I go to some places and find a number of young people, how deeply rooted in their faith they are, and I say, yes, the future is bright. Does it mean that we rejoice only with those who we see deeply rooted? Of course, there are also so many who are struggling. Depression is eating so many of them. Alcoholism and drug abuse is eating so many of them. And if we can use this love, the love the Uganda Matters had for God, and also we see the rest of us, can we all call on this love, get the graces, and minister to these ones here, and preach to these ones here, and hold their hands and bring them out of whatever pit, whatever hole they are in, either due to the difficult situations surrounding them that has maybe led them to depression and to drug abuse and addiction. Yes. So whereas all is not lost, but we need to do more with the young people, holding their hands.
Right. Back to our media practice. How is it important to tell these stories, not just as stories, for example, of the celebrations of the 3rd June, the Uganda Matters, but in a form of evangelization as religious reporters? Why is it important for us to look at it in that perspective, not just any other story, but in form of evangelization?
Yes. Now, like for in the Catholic Church, the Church stands on what is given to us by sacred scripture, and then what is given to us by tradition. And when we talk of tradition, we talk of things that have happened before. And then lastly, what is given to us by the magisterium, and those are the leaders of the church, the bishops, and then the pope, and so on. You know. Now, when we talk of, for instance, the story of the Uganda Matters, well, it may not have been so many years back, but it is a number of years back. And that would be a tradition that is going to inspire us who are living now, and saying that, for instance, when we talk of persecution, the persecutions that we have today may not be the one that Kabaka Mwanga instilled on, put on the Uganda Matters. Our own persecutions are different, yes, but we look at what they went through and the challenges they went through, but also the courage they took to witness to their faith. And while we are telling that story, we are encouraging those who are now. And so it is very important to continue telling these stories, that yes, in everything that we do, we are going to have the naysayers. And while they are there, you've got to keep walking as a Christian. And that is where our story of the Uganda Matters becomes very important, but also very alive every single day. Because in this journey of faith, yes, we shall every single day find opposition. And sometimes, by the way, the opposition is not from just without, it is even from within, that our own personal inclinations, our own sinful desires are going to oppose us. But we must stand firm. And so the story we need to tell, because it is a wake-up call. It is a reminder that it is possible. Yeah.
Very nice. With everything that happened, what do you take home in regards to just celebration, the caps that you wore in different capacity? How is this going to, or how does it affect or add on into the different capacities that you hold? You take home from everything that you did, really.
One, as a Christian, that is very important. As a Christian, even apart from the sacrifice of the martyrs, I look at the sacrifice of the others, the other pilgrims who come there, and it motivates me. People, I already talked of those who walk, but there are those who stay there hungry, and they're like, I am waiting here until. There are those who separate from their families weeks, like those who travel from Kenya by foot. They leave actually a month early, or sometimes even beyond. They separate from their families, from their loved ones, and they are here. You know, they're walking to come here. And so for me, that's already a source of inspiration. That, well, you see me, I am a priest, but they are not, because people expect us, the priests for instance, to live the life of more sacrifice, a life of more piety, as I may call it. But you look at the other Christian, the lay Christian, also doing something small to add on the faith that they have, and you say, well, I think even me, I can every single day add on something, even as a priest. So that's the first thing I take home, that I look at the way other people are sacrificing. And by the way, it's not easy inside there. Oh, thousands of people, and when you've got your small corner here, you don't want even to, I mean, you can't turn even if you want. Right. You can't turn. Yes. You can't be thirsty, but you can't move from here to there to look for water. You can't. You know? Right. You can be hungry, but just to move, where are you going to get the food? And sometimes the money even for buying the food is not there. Right. You know? So it's a big sacrifice, and it speaks a lot to me as a Christian, let alone as a priest, that I too can keep sacrificing and following the footsteps of the martyrs. Secondly, as a priest, what I take home is, like, again, when I see the faith still blossoming, at least from the external. I mean, that they are there, because what is in the heart we can't know. But at least from the external, because it is what is in the heart that should be brought out. At least from the external, when I see the number of people there, I go back convinced that the seeds we are sowing every single day at the altar is not wasted. Not all is falling on a rocky ground. At least the ones falling on the fertile ground are visible. I go home with that because there is no other celebration, there is no other function in this country that will bring that number of people together. But it is a celebration of faith. Thirdly, as a media practitioner, like I said, I look at the struggles there. What I go home with is having a lot desired to be done. And I want to be very honest about this, that I think as a country, as maybe even the church, we've got to do more. When it comes to, for instance, broadcasting the celebration there, it's all messy, it's all messed up. That you find tens of journalists with cameras. If you look at the cables, the way they are flying left and right, and I'm like, couldn't we, can't we, or can we organize? And for instance, have one person picking all these and giving others the feed. But maybe we are all very selfish and we are all very competitive. So no, each one must get the money. That is from there. But I think we can be organized. Yes. I try a number of times to watch, for instance, functions in the Vatican, and I don't see the many cameras like they are here. So I think I go home also contemplating on that. Only that I don't know who should be told this first. I am sorry I'm saying it first in the media, but I think someone...
They've now had, really.
I think someone needs to address this, that we can do that work. Everybody can take out the information or the celebration at Namugongo, but in a very orderly and organized way. Yes, and I think the Catholic Church can do that because even the modern civilization came from the Catholic Church. I think we can also civilize the way of reporting and the media activities around around Namugongo. Exactly. Yes, because it comes with so many things. Like, and then I already talked about this in one media house. The way the security plays with the internet. And you can't relay anything outside there. Okay, they're taking security measures, but can't we have a better way? Yes, of doing it? I don't see signals jamming left and right. For instance, we had the burial of Pope Francis, and we had hundreds of thousands of mourners there, with so many big shots. You know, the President of the US, the Prime Minister of the UK, the President of France, and so many others. But we didn't see signals going off left and right. Right. You think the terrorists wouldn't be targeting such places? I would imagine there are measures that they take, and maybe we can also go relief and have it relayed in a better way. Right. Yeah.
So much to learn, so much to do, so much take home, not just for you, for me, and for everyone out there, really. Yeah. You have spoken very candidly, very openly. I saw no reservations in your answering. It has been very inspiring to talk to you. You are an inspiration, and thank you so much for giving us time and allowing to be here. I know there is someone out there who would want to hear your final remark before we close off. You could just close off with a final word, and then we can call it.
My final word would be to all of us outside there, especially that what brings us on this show is to continue with the celebration of the Uganda Matters and talking of the aftermath. And we say, yes, let our celebration of the Uganda Matters, especially as a country, not just end with many of us going there, not just end with us saying, yes, as a country, we have so many martyrs, we have a number of saints from this soil. Can that also speak to our way of doing things? Yes. If we are going to make sacrifices, can we make sacrifices that are worth it? Sometimes I see we are fighting a lot for things that are not worth, for things that are going to perish. Yes, now we are in a very critical moment, the political season, and people are going to fight with each other, and then so what after the elections? We still remain us here, you know. So if we are going to make sacrifices, can we make sacrifices for things that are worth, for things that are going to bring positive transformation in our lives, but also in our country? Otherwise, we say thank you, and I pray that the Martyrs of Uganda, St. Charles Langan Companions, may intercede for us, and specifically I pray for all those who made their pilgrimage this year, that the Martyrs may intercede for you, and may the Lord grant favor to all the intentions that you came with. And lastly, thank you very much, Nora, for hosting me.
Amen to that prayer, and you're so much welcome. This is home to you, and we can't thank you enough for the discussion and for serving God in different capacities. I believe there's so many people out there who look up to you, and we just want to thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
It has been nice having you. Father Aloysius Opio from the Archdiocese of Tororo has been discussing with us his experience before in the pilgrimage, as a priest, wearing the different hats, as a communicator, and it has been really nice hearing all these experiences and just learning so much in depth there. Well, I am Nora Sunday. I'll surely see you next weekend on Sunday. It has been nice as usual having you. Until then, stay well.